Good evening. Let me start off with a question. How many in this room would have felt the pressure of constantly having to perform? It's not just turning up, it's topping in the class, scoring the highest marks, getting into the best colleges. Let me pose an even tougher question. What happens when this successful version of you collapses? Over the next few minutes, I will discuss two parts of it. First, how leaders and even youngsters, fall prey to this particular situation. And the second part, I will discuss my personal journey, how I countered this and came back. So let me start with the crisis that no one prepares leaders for. Very early on, we are fed this. You need to top in the class. You need to score the highest. You need to get the best job. You need to get into the best college. Lot of pressure. In fact, in many competitive environments, what leadership is defined as strength with no softness, drive with no doubt, and success without any struggles. I'm standing right here in front of you and telling you this is all a lie. In fact, when you tie your identity to success, every failure is no longer an event. It is a catastrophe, one which is very difficult to return from. Now let us talk about, what are some lies that we are fed? We are fed lies like, even if you fail, you cannot show it. If you are feeling weak, you cannot tell anyone. That's weakness. I'm telling you that's not weakness. That's when your body is telling you you need help. You can either take professional help. There are so many, good counselors out there who can help you out. But sometimes, the ego interferes. In my case, it was same. How can I be in depression? It's not possible. All through life, I've been an achiever. All my teachers used to talk me up. How can I even fail? No, I cannot be depressed. So what I did was I found a way to tackle it, right? Initially, I thought, let's act. And that this is something, youngsters and even leaders are very apt at. Let's take an example. A guy opens his laptop. He has a 9-hour shift. He's working for 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours straight. Everything's fine. He's walking from one meeting to another, taking the frustrations of one to the next and the next. Everything's fine. There are pressures, there are targets. Sometimes you do well, sometimes you don't. You cannot show weakness. Like in that movie, it was that famous dialogue, right? All is well. That's what we, keep on acting. We show that we are all good. When internally we are breaking. That is where holistic health, breaks down. How do we define holistic health? It's achieving the perfect balance between who we are, what we are doing, and how we are treating ourselves. But this instance, where you are saying everything's fine, when everything's not, You are creating a situation where there's imbalance and you're only delaying the inevitable. It's a burnout. That, my friends, is what youths, leaders, and I think so many of you, I hope not, but may face. So it's very important to identify these signs that your body gives and take the appropriate steps. Let me discuss how this situation came about for me. I was, at a point, I was an IIM graduate. I had reorganized one of the biggest conglomerates in India. I had launched a successful product all across India. So in, most metrics, I was successful. So I was flying high. I thought I should be a startup founder. That was the in thing at that point of time, right? So I became a startup founder. Initially, it went really well. But, somebody's mentioned Murphy's Law. So Murphy's Law came in and everything that could go wrong went wrong. And I failed. It was probably the first time that I failed. It was something very uncommon to me. I had not prepared myself for failure. And that's when I acted, everything's fine. Yeah, I'll get through this. But after some time, I realized everything's not fine. But then my ego did step in. I said, I cannot take help. So I thought for myself, what can I do to better this situation? Putting this act that everything's fine, you have to, tell people that, yeah, everything's fine when it's not, right? And I'm using everything's fine a lot because that's the word that you should avoid. I realized I need to be at a place where I'm really my own self. I don't need to act. Thought, what is that place? That is the anchor that you need. The key word is anchor. For me, it was my home. It was with my parents and my family around. When I came back, I thought the questions that will be asked to me, why did it fail? What next? Surprisingly, those were not the questions. The questions were, did you eat well? Did you sleep well? Then something profound came to me. Before you go on to lead people, to lead organizations, you need to learn to take care of yourselves. It's not easy because it's a rat race, right? But you need to learn. And it is especially important for leaders because if you set inhuman expectations out of you, then the people that you lead, the ones that work with you, the people around you, you start expecting inhuman expectations out of them. And what in turn happens is it doesn't screw your life only, it screws their life also. So it's very important. Once I came back, I found my anchor. I thought, what should I do next, to go to the level that I was. I was pretty successful when I actually broke down. So the first thing that I needed to do was I needed to isolate my life from the life of others. As high achieving youngsters yourself, and in fact leaders mostly, you see, you need to have this definition very clear. This world looks at two major things: speed and visibility. The world is obsessed with it. Anywhere you see, you'll see a LinkedIn post of somebody getting promoted. You get an Instagram post or a Facebook post of somebody having a gala time. It's very important to isolate yourself there from those lives because you are at a very different stage in your life. They are at a different stage. It's not that they will not have that stage. Everybody goes through this stage. But it's important to understand that your life is yours. And everybody fails. You just need to rebuild yourself. Just imagine this. There's a building. It's being built according to a plan. Unfortunately, the person who constructed it has made a minor fault in that. You don't want to build that building on that fault, right? You want to stay in that building for 15, 20 years, right? And that's exactly what happens in your life also. If something's gone wrong, you need to reassess, replan, rebuild. So what I did was, I kind of isolated myself from social media. And the next important thing was, I needed to be kind to myself. See, when you see social media, the first thing that you do is, because I was successful earlier, I bash myself. How did you fail? You were stupid that you did not consider this, consider that. And there were many things which I missed out. That's why it failed. But it's very important that you be kind to yourself, because that is the first step that you take to move towards progress. That is going back to where you were. Then once this is normalized, right, the next thing is finding those, grounding rituals. It's in this stage, it is very important that you do not drift away in emotions, and depression becomes very hard when you drift away, right? So you need to be tethered to reality. And that is where grounding rituals becomes very important. What is grounding ritual? Grounding ritual is one. These are small acts in your daily routine that do not take much time, do not take much headspace, brain, and is easy to accomplish. For me, it was making tea. It was taking a walk. It was reading a book. It was writing a journal. For you, maybe it is playing cricket with the neighborhood kids. It differs from person to person. But find those grounding rituals. Because that will help you isolate your thoughts from your failure and think about these things. After a few days, you'll start thinking about these things first and your failure later. And that will help you move ahead, right? The next important thing is, taking incremental steps. Now, I was at X. I cannot leap from ground zero, rock bottom to X immediately. It's very hard. Some people may, but it's not easy. So why not divide it X by 10, X by 20, 2 times X by 10. So divide it into smaller milestones. For me, because I was into branding, right, initially. So I took projects, freelance projects in marketing, pretty small scale. Helped me build confidence, right? I achieved it easily. Next, I took multiple projects. What happened was, it allowed me grow that confidence that, boss, I'm there, but I can do, slowly go there. Because once you've done it, you've already done it, you know how to do it. It's just a matter of time. Right? Now, it's very important because I'm looking at so many youngsters out there, right? And if you ever feel these feelings, you're feeling tired, you're feeling weak, you feel that you need time, don't consider you are broken. Rephrase it. You're breaking out. You're breaking out from your old self. Something's not working, so you need to find things that are working for you and go towards that. You need to have time to respect your body, your mental state, and your emotional health. This is where holistic health comes into picture. It's very important. And I'll end my small talk by these two lines. The world does not need more burnt out achievers. What it actually needs is whole human leaders. Thank you so much.